get started. But, it was one of our family members, they was worried about I ain't going to say who it was, that he was using drugs. So when I went up and I came in one night late, up that way, I said, oh, he don't do nothing but smoke a little weed. You just watching TV and cartoons and just laughing and go in the kitchen, get a package of cookies. I said, ain't nothing wrong with him. He just smoking a little weed. In other words, he ain't doing nothing. Just pray he keep on doing that. And don't get him stretched out any. Don't be hassling him, but you can't do that. That's wrong. Just leave him alone. He's smoking weed. I mean, when you've been around it, you could tell. I said, that boy ain't doing nothing. Smoking a little weed, no, maybe a lot of weed. And he watching cartoons. The TV, I walked in the middle of the night, the cartoon was on. I said, yeah. And I look at him, I say, yeah, it's fine. Shoot, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, to them, he's a Muslim. I said, shoot, you get him out there messing around with some of that other stuff, he'll be gone. You'll lose him. So leave him alone. Don't introduce no stress. So anyway, crank. If you got crank and if you got acid, LSD was discovered by the military in 1961 at that time. And it was legal up to 1966. So they wanted to lead their people astray, just stretch out on LSD. That's all. They're still using it, Yeah, they just stretch them out. But then at the Haight-Ashbury, I had y'all look up Haight-Ashbury before, didn't I? Haight-Ashbury was like, man, it was like an experience in San Francisco. San Francisco was in those days, they called it the Queen City because it had, in those days, 33 gay bars, which didn't nobody have none. But it was all the loose stuff that people want to do. It was wide open. It was a free city like. I like going over to San Francisco all the time because San Francisco, right over this way, is Sausalito and all those places. No, it was fine. But, so San Francisco, Oakland, headquarters of the Black Nationalist movement, right? Then you go right next to Oakland is Berkeley. And you might as well call it the same city. And Berkeley, well, you didn't read about how wide open UC Berkeley was. It was revolutionary. It was revolutionary. People would go there 20 years later, 30 years later, thinking they're going to find that. I said, shoot, lucky it lasted that long. But the point I'm making about this, what do we call it, transition? Transformation and transcendence. Okay, I'm going to try to make this fit, inshallah. So we have a mission statement and a vision statement to put together for this period that we're in it already. So there's no sense talking about it. This is coming, that's coming. We're in it right away. And we'll form some of the paperwork for what we're going to do. We're going to do a several-page flyer, maybe 10-page or maybe 15-page, for just this neighborhood right here. For this, we're going to explain who we are, put a few pictures on there, and we're going to tell them what we've been dealing with here. And it'll be some of the flyers in there, so they'll see this is actually real. Because we technically appreciate our neighbors. you know. And some of them do read the internet, and you could tell that they know something is going on. But they watched us. They knew for 10 years we had the school. The kids used to, Tufel would have them run up the hill and come down. They'd see them coming every day. We want to explain to them what's been going on here. We appreciate them for being patient with us, you know, but we want to let them know in no uncertain terms what's been going on here, what this masjid stands for, you know, what it has stood for. And we'll have a little bit to verify. When they go on there, we want to, some of them have already looked on the internet, and some of them just give you the old high side when they go by. And a few of them, they done already talked to each other. So and then they know the white man said they this and they that, and they sitting right up there watching us all the time. So they know it's a big lie. You know what I mean? And they know they saw all the kids going to school. So they said, man, they really was, and they see the decline in the population and what have you. So they got a feel. Some of them are very friendly now. The longer they, one of the neighbors, he even hinted, so where you headed today? He said, oh, I'm going up to see one of my friends up in, he mentioned the penitentiary. He done read my stuff, and he was saying that to let me know where he's coming from. You know what I mean? And I said, oh, yeah. So, and then when few things happen around here, you'd see him pop up and be watching, you know. So, for whatever reason. Anyway, I want to show y'all these two pictures. You could just pass them around. And I'm going to use that to go through mental changes and what people say. Now, about what people, if you're not careful about about yourself, you can be totally different from what everybody say. Now, one of the little ladies is a Hafiz of Quran, right? And that's this one right here. Her friends in her school, when she was that age, would call her a black bitch. And they told her she was ugly. And she believed them. And her parents, because we would stay, you know, when we'd be over there, would want Sister Bahia and myself to tell her. That's why I took a picture. I took her picture and I showed it to the UCLA students. And I told her, this lady, little lady here, thinks she's ugly. They said, hook us up. That's what every one of them, all of them, you know, the Arabs, they all, you know how they said, hey, just how, and she's Hafiz of Quran too. Say, yeah, they done convinced her that she's ugly. She go to school with Indian children, you know, not black children, and some kind of way she don't fit into that little area. Something is wrong, and when I'd be talking to her, I said, they done convinced you, and her friend next to her is okay, and her sister is okay. She's the most beautiful young lady I saw over there. But they didn't convince her that she's ugly. I said, she's worse than a Negro. They got everything going, and they tell them, you're black or you're ugly. They called her a black bitch. The other students, I mean, not bad, black bitch, stuff like that. The other picture is the Masjid in Sharpsville. Has anybody ever heard of Sharpsville? Sharpsville, 1960. Right? It was a slaughter of black people. It was during the apartheid period. Remember, all of these pictures are after apartheid. Okay, they're after apartheid. And so, but they still have the community structure that black people live in black communities. It's changing. And white people live in white neighborhoods, Indians. A lot of the Indians in their townships, they've changed over the years and they move into the white areas, what they call the gray areas. But anyway, the point is that they can take somebody that's absolutely not what they say. In fact, if you will go by any neutral criteria, the people that's telling them would be ugly because the girl sitting next to her is a nice young lady, but they don't tell her nothing like that. And I know a tender when I see one, so did all the other kids in California. I said, she thinks she's hook me up. All of them said all the brothers, that was in our As-Sabiqun, the young crew, every one of them said the same thing. They said, is there a contact or can we? I said, hey man, y'all gotta use Sabiqun, you gotta take your time. But they all said the same thing. And if I was a youngster, I would have said, what in the world? That means the group. That's why we're so strong on, remember the little thing about how the people, about the long line, yeah. That actually worked. It don't work on us. Like all the people around here say stuff about us, it don't have no difference at all. None. That is a privilege to be able to go through all of that type of thing. And I remember when I used to travel, I used to take pictures of my car and some of my pictures and, to show this is what I'm about here, because you may have jeans on and all. And by the time I come back to the U.S., I didn't do that anymore. Because I was dependent on, this is what a car, I was doing like niggas, black people do here. Shoot, I do this and I do that, Based on external things. I have many of these kind of cars. I use these kind of clothes. This is what I dress, I don't wear jeans like the things I got on, old funny looking boots. I don't do that. I'm a big nigga. And they would look at me and look at the picture. Is that you? I said, yes, that's me. That's the brother there. Because I was still young in our mid-20s, so you would be like everybody else. That you are the things that you acquire, And we had sayings. They got big niggas and little niggas. Big niggas was the ones that had all those things. And the little niggas was y'all, other people that don't have all those things. Don't care, you'd still be little if you had even something. A couple of my friends they had Cadillacs and everything. And one of my big friends on the other side of town, he used to live on my side of town, he was a family friend. And he was about the second or third biggest Mac in town, him and his friend from Detroit. They was both light-skinned and they was big. in that game. And so one of my friends, he saw me hanging around with some guys, and from his side of town, and he just told me in this language, he said, those was little niggas. And they had they had the Cadillac, they had the alligator shoe, they had the hair suit to the side, but they know who everybody is. So he was telling me in case I didn't know. I had an idea, but he said, those is little niggas. In other words, everybody that's got a Cadillac and everybody that's, they doing all, but they little. So you're learning, you're acquiring all of this type of thing. Did I show you all this picture of Muhammad Ali? Okay. I'll get back to the